everyone, this is Ksenia, welcome back. Today I want to talk about The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. Specifically, I'd like to give you reasons to read this book because this is a very underrated book. I feel like this book needs to be rediscovered because it feels way more modern than other books by Bronte sisters that I've read. I'm gonna start with the structure of the book and just the plot. The book is divided into three parts. So the bookend part, the first and the last, they are smaller. The first part tells the story of Gilbert Markham and his family and how he's just being a farmer and living his life, and then there's this mysterious tenant of Wildfell Hall, a young woman with her son, and Gilbert falls in love with her and stuff happens. And then the middle part is actually the story, it's like the main story of this book. It's the story of Helen, the tenant of Wildfell Hall, this woman, and it's her backstory. So it is told through diary. It's basically the story of how she fell in love with this handsome, brooding man and how he became abusive and she ran away. And I know it might feel like a spoiler because it happens in the middle of the book, but honestly, it's written here, so I don't consider it a spoiler if it's written in the blurb, you know, in Penguin edition, so we'll live with that. And then the last part, it's like this small, deals with Gilbert and Helen after everything is revealed. So one thing I'd like to say before I get into the reasons you need to read this book part, I would like to just share some knowledge that I've learned about Anne Bronte and her life. Anne was working as a governess and she has seen a lot of weird stuff happening between a husband and a wife. Anne's brother Branwell was also working in this family and he had the affair with the woman of the house, and then lots of stuff happened, so it was super dramatic, and lots of it you can see the influence of all of that in this book. And also after it happened, after Branwell, the brother of Anne Bronte, had his heart shattered and his reputation ruined because of the drama and cheating and stuff. So yeah, he couldn't get a job, he started drinking, he had very bad depression, or I don't know if that was depression, but he wasn't fine at all. And Anne felt very responsible because she introduced him to this household. She has seen firsthand how alcohol can destroy a person's life, so she has written a lot of it from her personal experience. And obviously in 19th century everybody was shocked. You know, in 19th century a married woman was considered her husband's property. She had no rights for divorce, even if it literally says here in the book, I think a priest or someone says that even if he physically mistreats her, maybe that's ground for divorce, but still, she's better suffer and be quiet, you know, because she belongs to her husband. So with all of that, writing a book about a woman fleeing from her husband and taking her son, who, you know, the son is also the husband's property, obviously, because why not? Yeah, depicting that, and then seeing this woman overcome her struggles and all of that, it was super shocking. And then all of the descriptions of cheating, of abuse, mental abuse, and then there's physical abuse, and, you know, alcohol and stuff. People were shocked. So yeah, it's just a little background on how the story was received and what influenced Anne to write it. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you a few reasons. I think I have six reasons. I'm gonna give you 6 reasons to read this book. So reason number 1, and the first, the most important to me, the book doesn't glorify a typical, you know, bad, brooding, mysterious man. Rochester, Heathcliff, you know the type. There is a type of man that Emily Bronte wrote about and Charlotte Bronte wrote about, and they kind of made them seem very romantic, and we can see those love stories developing with those brooding, mysterious men. And even today, a brooding, mysterious, dark-haired boy who's super cool, and Honestly, I love those types, but I cannot ignore the fact that in the media, those boys usually have like inner depth and some tragic backstory, and it's like they're actually good. But the thing is that, are they actually, do they have those redeeming qualities in real life? We don't know. But a lot of people seem to think that it is very cool and romantic and dramatic to be with this kind of person. This book actually shows you what's going to happen if you marry this dark, brooding, romantic guy. There was a scene in the very, or almost in the beginning of their romance. She went away somewhere to the library, I think, to just be on her own from the party. And he went after her, and then he kind of cornered her, grabbed her hand, started kissing her hand. And for us, it's like, yeah, kissing the hand is nothing. But in 19th century, to kiss a woman's hand, it's like, it's a lot. So he just kisses her hand, and she tells him, can you please stop? I want to go. She tries to grab the hand away, and he keeps kissing her hand. So if you're reading it as a level-headed reader and you realize that this is a red flag, that this is bad, leave now. But she's so smitten with him because she's so dark and brooding and mysterious that she completely ignores it. She feels like, oh yeah, he's so passionate. I better marry him. my poor girl. So yeah, in short, the book doesn't glorify this type of bad, brooding man. It shows true colors of those people. I feel like it's a good thing to remember that maybe the dark, brooding boy type isn't as romantic as we portrayed in the media. So reason number 2 is that the book is extremely funny. I know I talked a lot about depressing stuff, but there is a lot of funny things, a lot of witty things, and lots of sarcastic things, and there's also lots of trolling, which I did not expect from a 19th century novel. But it's mostly in like the first and the last part, not in the Helen's life part, but in the part narrated by Gilbert. So reason number 3 is that the book is really romantic. And I know I talked a lot about that the book doesn't romanticize a bad, brooding guy. So in the middle of the story, yeah, there's no romance, it's all bad and red flags. But in the bookend part, I'm just gonna call it bookend part, with Gilbert and Helen, there is quite a lot of romance, and I've read different opinions on those parts, and I know that some people don't like Gilbert. Why? He's really, really cool. He is a great contrast to Helen's husband. He's super patient and calm, and he never oversteps with her, even though he really wants to. There's a lot of passion within him. Personally, I just really, really love forbidden romance in books. It's really my thing, especially forbidden romance in 19th century. I don't know, I just love it. And here it's done so well. It's like the characters have to battle their passion versus their reason and logic, and it's beautiful, it's very romantic. The thing that I loved is that it's really well built up. You can see the characters getting to know each other little by little. Then they started talking and they realized that they really respect each other's opinions, and they have, even when they have different opinions, it was interesting for them to talk it out and everything. So I just love the fact that they talk, and that's how they fall in love. Obviously there is attraction, but they fall in love by bonding and talking, and yeah, I loved it. Okay, then I've got reason number 4, and this is emotions. There are a lot of emotions in this book, and I've already talked about like how it's funny and it's romantic. One of the prominent emotions, I think, in the middle part in Helen's story is anger that I felt and all the injustice that was happening. And yeah, maybe they're not very pleasant emotions, but still it's, you know, it's the book, and the book's goal is to make you feel something, and it made me feel a lot. So emotions, it's good. And yeah, mostly it was anger at how unfair Helen was treated. She cannot leave and she has to suffer, and the worst part is that she believes that she has to suffer. In the beginning she doesn't try to leave because she doesn't believe that she has a right to be happy, and this just drives me so mad. Ah! But yeah, all of this you get rewarded because of course she runs away, which is not a spoiler because she is without her husband in the beginning of the book. And it's great, it's wonderful to see her finally be free and be happy. So I feel like all of those mad and angry emotions are rewarded in the ending. Reason number 5 is that the book feels really progressive. The book really feels ahead of its time. First of all, obviously depicting a woman who ran away from her husband, then she makes her own money by painting, and then she cares for her son a lot, which in those times were seen as doting, because you shouldn't care for your son as much, Helen. Why do you care? Why do you always take your son with you? That is so weird. And there are lots of discussions on gender and differences between genders in those times. Okay, and I have to mention it, but it is a spoiler, so if you don't want to know if the main characters, Helen and Gilbert, end up together, just skip. But the scene with the engagement, it was so amazing. If you read it as a modern reader, it's almost like she proposed to him because it was so funny. She kept nudging him like, come on, just ask me, just propose, you idiot. Obviously she couldn't propose herself because it's 19th century and it would have been outrageous. I mean, even today in 21st century some people think it's outrageous, so you know, it was really cool, really fun, and once again ahead of its time. And reason number 6 is that Helen Graham is the best. My favorites are still 2 characters from The Woman in White, but I don't know, Helen is very close, maybe she's out there with them. She knows when to keep quiet, and she knows when to speak out, and she knows when to wait until she can act. I feel like in this book there are moments when she's been suffering for way too long and I was screaming at her to just do something. So I feel like that's why I can't say she's my absolute favorite, because there are moments when she gets a bit too suffery. Is that a word? No, never mind. It's just a small moment and everything else with her is really amazing. So yeah, she has gone through a lot of horrible stuff. And I really like how she persevered, how she didn't break her spirit, or the things didn't break her spirit. And that's, to me, this is a strong character, not the one that gets all punchy and badass and heroic, but the ones that keep their spirit strong, even though there are lots of bad stuff, lots of drama, lots of negativity falling onto them. So yeah, Helen Graham is absolutely this kind of character, and if you like those kind of characters, you will love her and you will feel very proud of her, and I love her. Okay, so these are my 6 reasons. I also wanted to mention a little bit about the structure, and I feel like it's the only thing that I didn't like about this book. So we get Gilbert's story for like this amount of pages, and then this amount of pages, and then the middle is Helen. Yeah, because Helen's part is told through the diaries, and because it's in the middle, kind of stuck there, it feels less immediate and less dangerous and less, yes, just less. It's not the best way to tell a story, but it's the way Anne Bronte did it, which, you know what, I can forgive it to her because the story is already progressive enough and the story is brave enough, and yeah, it's the product of its time. It is an incredible book and it deserves absolutely as much love and attention as Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights. I cannot stress this enough. If you've loved both of those books and you haven't read this one, just do it, because I don't know why I waited so long. Actually, I know, because nobody talks about this book and nobody praises it. So here I am praising this book. And here I am giving you reasons to pick this up. Let me know in the comments if you've read it or want to read it. Yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.